my love for it is because I believe that it's some sort of bridge from, you know, how all religions are inherently the same, and yet lacking, I feel. I don't know.
I think the answer that we get from science is more satisfactory. I'm satisfied with the answer I get from science. While some question, I don't want to go to the religion part because it's in the back, in the past. For me, I'm happy about the stage that I am in. Science give me answer. I couldn't find it in the three Abraham religion that I got in. And physics in particular is very thorough field that you feel like if you didn't find the answer, you are sure one day maybe we'll reach there. And there's many examples in history from Galileo experiment. When he have that conclude that if you have two different masses and you throw them, they free fall, they will reach in the same time because they are under, in mechanics, we can explain it in mechanics, classical, because under gravity force. But the problem when he faced that you have the feather slide and you have the heavy ball and they don't reach because the air resistant, you couldn't prove it, although his math and his conclusion is right. Then we came, in this century, we have vacuum pumps. Beautiful. We can evacuate even this room if we had that opportunity in NASA, for example. They evacuate, and you see beautifully the feather and the bowling ball, what should they call it, this heavy mass ball, reaching the same time, the same spot. Can you imagine his happiness? That everyone thinks that you are wrong. You are wrong, you are wrong, your theory, and you are sure it's right. Everyone, and you don't have the mean to prove that in that time. And suddenly you have the mean to prove it. How you feel? Pleasure, right? Happiness. And now we can prove that simply by pumping that air.
Other question?
I have for Professor Kelly, is that it?
Yeah.
You say biophysics has nothing to do with biology.
No, it has something to do with biology. But the question is, do you need to know any biology before getting into biophysics?
Can you give us like a 1 minute spiel on what exactly biophysics is?
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, it's huge.
Yeah.
So in the same way that you go to the APS meeting is 10,000 people about? Okay, so the Biophysical Society meeting is 6,000 people. So it's enormous, and people come to it from many different sides. Some physicists are asking very physical questions that are biologically motivated questions. And sometimes there are also there are biochemists who are thinking about things from, they have biochemical questions that they're answering with physical tools. And so the community is enormous. Often you'll see things that are talked about as like, do you call it biophysics or do you call it biologically inspired physics? So the research that we do in my laboratory, there are some cases in which I want to answer a physics question. For example, the systems that I study happen to be ones that emulate cell membranes. So it's this thin sheet around the cell. And you can think of that as a two-dimensional system. I mean, yeah, it gets curved eventually. But anyway, on the length scale of the molecules, it's a two-dimensional system. And I especially study cases in which the molecules within that membrane phase separate. So I'm studying two-dimensional phase separation. Now, what's neat is that I can use that biological goo as a way to answer physics questions about 2D phase separation. So that's using just the biology as a material, as like a soft condensed matter material to answer a physics question. There are also cases in which I want to know how does this happen in a real biological system. So we also look at yeast cells. So we're growing the yeast and we're looking at the organelles of those yeast, and then I'm looking for phase separation that occurs inside the membranes of those organelles. So I'm trying to answer something about the biology. So it's this huge, huge field. And in the same way that, like, I didn't even know that this field existed when I was an undergrad. So I'm really that group. I mean, I think that
And
when
Joel-
we tell our stories about, like, the stories that we have told have all been about the topics. And then there's this question of like, well, then what projects have you done from then? And I can make up a story that makes it all sound very logical. But really, when you ask me like, why did you do this project and how did that turn into that project? What was that path? It was all by who did I want to work with. It was all people. It's like, work with people you like, don't work with assholes.
And the job opportunity. Your field have more job opportunity than many of other fields, because have application in hospital, is have application in academia and industry at the same time, right?
Sure, yes. But I
So-
think that that's true about
Right.
so many things
Yes.
of physics.
Biophysics is booming, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have a question sort of more generically. I'm one of those people who went to high school and found physics and fell in love with it immediately. But I love learning in general and sort of have fallen in love with all of the sciences, I guess you could say. And they're all so connected. So, you know, like physics is sort of a part of every single science to me. But I didn't go to college right away because I couldn't afford it. And essentially, like, now that I've gone back 10 years later, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll go into computer science so I can pay for my life, and then when I retire, I'll be a physicist. Like, that was my plan. But now that I'm studying all of these things, like, I think part of my struggle now is that now I'm super, super interested in artificial general intelligence and, like, you know, how that connects with physics possibly. And I guess my general question is, how do you choose what to focus on at one time when the world is so interesting?
Having problems. So I'm sure we all have different answers to that. So one thing that I found pretty decisive was getting involved in research. So sometimes you could love a class that's teaching a particular topic and you'll think this is the most interesting thing, and then you get into a research lab and you find out, you know, it's not as thrilling. Maybe it's because you've chosen the wrong people to work with, but sometimes it's just actually like living the life of, you know, being in that discipline is a great way to test things out. And as an undergraduate, and even in grad school, even as a postdoc, you can try out, you know, some different things and find which one strikes that chord, because I think it's, most people I know, they knew it when they, you know, there was a point at which they're like, okay, this is it. I'm not trying to decide anymore. But if you're not trying them out, then if you're not necessarily going to have that, it's like dating. Maybe that's not only, you don't want to go there.
Yeah, but I mean, what if you have
Yeah, you should date.
2 top boyfriends, right? Like, like you have theoretical physics, and then you have everything that goes with artificial intelligence too. And
Well, I'm pretty sure those can be combined.
I'm
but-
sure
I mean, I'm working on it, and I'm lucky because I got into the university research and mentoring program, so I'm able to actually participate in doing research, but I'm at the stage where they're like, do some research, find some stuff, do some experiments, but I'm having a hard time focusing in on exactly like where I should even start because everything's so exciting. Right.
So this is the problem, we have many options.
Right,
We need to make your list, we need to think about time also.
right.
Time is important in this case. Also, you need to think about the future. Is your choice will affect you in the future? Because finally, there is a financial obligation in your life. So, your choice limited to 3 options. Give each one a time to engage with that professor and see how you feel. Let him give you, is he generous, give you his time? Is he caring about when you engage with him? Is he caring? Did you finish your classes? Is everything going with you fine? Then you have 3 options. You're limited from 10 to 3. You think, which one will give me a job in 10 or 3 years from now? So if I'm graduating just undergraduate student, from 3 from now, is this job will open the doors for me. I will have more option to have a house, to have a car, to pay my bills. I am in love with 3 of them, but who will give me the job and the security to thrive? This is, you need to put it in your loving statement. Is it effective love or disaster love?
I have to disagree, but I mean, I agree with you many things, but I haven't cared about that whatsoever, but I don't own a house. And so I don't think it's a good idea, but I haven't done it.
Right.
So I have been following more what I really love to do, independently of where the money was gonna come from.
Right.
For many years the postdoc didn't pay really well and it was fine, but I
Oh,
keep
you're all in the same boat.
Exactly. So I didn't survive and euphoria and whatever. But what I meant is like even in a field, when I was in astronomy there was astrophysics and that's what I was gonna do, then you have to choose a research topic for your PhD.
Right.
So you keep on having to, that's gonna happen all the time. Having options is a good thing. What I did, and then I agree with her, is that I talked to 3 professors very seriously about doing research with them, and a lot of that personal component of like who's gonna be more generous with the time, who's gonna, it's a gut feeling. I realized that one person was saying something, but then he was doing something different, and I was like, that's not gonna work. Another one had like 10 students, and I was like, it's not gonna have time for me. So then but it's a gut feeling. But you will have to narrow every time.
Also, that also, sorry, go ahead.
I think the 2 fields that you are interested in can be easily combined, artificial intelligence and physics.
I guess I
In
just don't know
particular,
how.
physics- I cannot exactly help
Mm.
you, but
Mhm.
I'm sure people, research advisors in your department would help you. In particle physics, for example, in order to find the needle in the haystack nowadays, we use artificial intelligence algorithms. And it's getting more and more advanced every iteration of the analysis. And you can find people in my experiment, colleagues that do only that, the artificial intelligence. And I'm giving you only one example. I'm
Right.
sure it can be combined in many ways. Just talk to your research advisors.
So mentoring is another really crucial thing. So Mary James mentioned this last night. So mentoring, like having somebody you can talk to about these decisions and what sort of inputs to look for and how to weigh things, like somebody who's like personally invested and knows who you are. So this is general advice to everybody in every field is try to find some mentors, try to find some people who can help you navigate that, because it's a lot of decisions to make. I will add that I think there's not enough money to be made in physics to be driven by purely practical. You know, if you want a purely practical advice on a job that will give you security, then you're probably already not here. So
Actually, your choice is very good, especially for if you learn machine learning. Lots of it. Definitely, if you finish your PhD, let's assume like you are in your final undergraduate, let's assume, like in 4 or 5 years, and you are in finishing, not finish it completely, you will find a job quickly by learning machine learning, because it's open door now for opportunity. And I am always interested to see what the market give me. It's kind of another interest financially is important, although I'm not successful personally because I follow sometimes my heart.
I know that we have to make it by quarter till, but I saw that both of you had questions. We got all of your questions.
So we had a few amazing physicists look up to as mentors, but I was wondering if any of you had particular mentors that helped shape your journey in physics.
I was really very lucky, and it turned out to be just dumb luck, that somebody who was on my PhD committee. So my advisor was very helpful, but he wasn't that great in terms of helping me get to the next step of postdoc. And it just happened to turn out that one of my members of my PhD committee was very good. And on a lark, I went to him to go and take this letter that I was going to send to a potential postdoctoral advisor. And he took the time to be like, no, this is terrible. You know, and that takes time.
Yeah.
Because then he had to tell me how it was terrible and how to just completely rewrite it in order to make that pitch that I wanted. so I would say that I see a lot of times in which students will try to get people who are on their thesis committee or their doctoral committee, who they're thinking about, like, who will be nice? Who will pass me to the next step? And actually, you don't just want somebody who will pass you. You want to look for, I think a great way to look for people who you can just ask to be, if you have committees that faculty need to sit on, who's going to write you the best letter of recommendation? And by that, I don't just mean who's nice. I mean, like, who is going to be the most qualified to write you the most hard-hitting letter of recommendation? And so often I get asked a lot to be on graduate committees. And often it's by students in the chemistry department that I don't really know, because they're very far outside of the field. And I have to write back and say, I can write that I enjoy having conversations with you, but that's not going to be a really weighted letter of recommendation. You want to ask somebody on the committee who's going to go back for you.
I had really important mentoring experiences as an undergraduate when I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had a professor who I struggled a little bit more in his class and spent more time thinking about it. And then so when he said, you should absolutely apply for these scholarships, and like he'd work in my lab this summer, I was like, wow, that is so amazing. Like, it was really affirming, and for him, he just treated like, it was just like a very everyday kind of commonplace sort of thing, but then like helping me figure out, what does it take to apply to graduate school, and how to choose a graduate program, and do you want to, is it worthwhile going to this conference and stuff like that, just having somebody. And so it was just dumb luck that I took this class and this person saw something in me that I didn't see myself at that point, but super important. Yeah.
So I admired a lot my postdoc advisor, who was a very well-known physicist in the field and leader of the experiment when I was working. But in terms of neither he nor my PhD advisor really saved my path. The person who had an influence in saving my path in terms of where I would go to do my PhD was actually, it was like an instantaneous interaction, just luck. So when I was going around my undergraduate professors to ask for letters, I went to one of them who was teaching quantum mechanics and asked for a letter, and he said, yes, of course, I would be happy. Where do you want to go? And I said, Germany. And that was because when I was in high school, we were learning about physics in second to last, so sophomore? No, junior in high school. And all the physicists that we were learning about had names that sounded German. So I decided, because back then, in the 19th and earlier 20th century, this is where most of the research was being done. So I decided that we go to Germany for graduate school. And I decided that in high school and carried that idea all the way through undergraduate. And when I went and asked this professor for a letter, and I said I want to go to Germany, he actually had studied in Germany and he still had connections there. And he said, why do you want to go to Germany? Graduate studies are not very well organized there. You should go to America. And so I went home, and I still remember my mom was frying fish for lunch, and I said, Mom, I'm going to America. He had a stroke right then for the next 20 years.
I think I'm hearing something that we keep saying a lot, and I hope that a lot of us say that we were lucky about things. And what I want to get across is not this feeling that you must be incredibly lucky, right? I think that there's enough luck.
No, it's not that luck.
There's enough luck to go around for
Yes.
everybody.
Yes.
It's making sure that you put yourself in positions to get that luck, right? Making sure that you go to talk to that professor, or that when your professor says that thing, you take them up on it, or when you're brave enough to go to talk to that person on your committee, right? And then that makes the luck.
Yeah, you have to make your luck. So I credit my success mostly to my passion for physics and my determination. I I think we all, as Sarah says, there is enough luck to go around, and I think we are all clever. It's not about IQ. For me, it was passion and determination.
It will be great if someone helped you, but usually you don't assume that someone will come and help you. You need to find that help. You need to find the solution for yourself. If you wait for someone, no one will come to you. Go for them and ask for help.
And you're gonna try things and you're gonna fail. And the important thing is not how many times you fail, is that you're gonna stand up one more time than you're not gonna do.
Excellent.
We also have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes, I don't know how much time we have left, but.
Go for it.
Okay, great. So obviously you all have your physics professions and that takes up, I'm assuming, tons of your time. Do you have other pursuits, other hobbies, other passions, and are you able to still, have that in your life, or has it pretty much just become like, I do physics and that's what I do?
No, we are super cook. Mother go for soccer, basketball, all these things. We juggling. We really, I'm sure all of us do
Yeah.
many things, volunteer.
At times
Kids,
Kids.
You know, I've got a daughter, we travel a lot, you know, it's not just physics 24/7. It's a lot of physics.
But it's at home.
It's not only
We
physics.
And this particular type of physics, this particular job in physics, has some flexibility.
Yeah,
Yeah, lots of flexibility.
lots of flexibility.
Like today,
Time flexibility, yeah.
Lots of opportunities, so, you know, my daughter is 12 and she thinks that all vacations involve a conference. So she's been to, you know, incredible places, because my husband's a physicist also, and we just take her along when we go on sabbatical or we go to conferences, as she said, you know, so we have these opportunities as a family to do things that are physics adjacent, but it's not just work all the time.
What experience have you had during your mentorship that was so terrible that you learned the most from?